3, 2, 1, 0.
It's 7 o'clock. It is Monday night, which means it's time for Monday Night Nerd. Welcome, one and all. My name's Corp Cosplay. I'm so glad you can join us tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk all about Frightmare in the Falls. We're going to talk all about Heartcon because I have been to 2 conventions the past couple weekends. Unfortunately, I was not able to be live last week because I was under the weather, and I want to make sure that you guys have a good program, that you spend your nights on Monday night coming to watch. So I'm so happy you're here. For anybody who's new to the show, my name's Corp Cosplay. I'm a cosplayer in the Ontario area. I've been cosplaying for over 10 years. I've won some awards for cosplays. I volunteer at conventions, and overall, I am a nerd since birth. I'm a comic fan. I'm a wrestling fan, and this is my show. We talk about comics, cosplay, movies, music, video games, and everything else under the sun that is nerdy or geeky. And tonight, 2 conventions. But of course, when we first start out, we're going to talk about news, some things that I've done recently, and a whole lot more. Hello, Crystal. Welcome to the show. Let's first start with a movie that I watched, and that is Terrifier. Terrifier 3 is out, and it is gaining a lot of traction. If you are a clown-killing fan, you are so happy because you got the Joker and you got Terrifier back to back. I watched Terrifier 3, and I have some opinions. So you're probably wondering what my opinions are of the first 2, because there have been obviously 2 Terrifiers before. And here's my opinions. They're over the top, they're gruesome, they're not my bag. And I totally understand that. I knew going into that was going to be my thought process on these films, because they're body horror, gross horror movies. And that's what the style is now. And I've met the creator, I've met the cast. They were at a local horror con here in Ontario, and they are so nice. They are great people, and I want to support them by seeing their movie and talking to you guys about it, even though I'm not a big fan of it. And that's honestly my review. It's too much for me, but I knew that going into it. So I don't want to say that don't see it. If you're into that style of movie, you're probably going to love it. I don't. So it's not for me. But I still want to see what all the hype was about, because there was some reports coming out that people were shocked and appalled. People were running out of the theater in the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, well, let's see what that means, because the second movie has a scene called the bedroom scene, which I will not describe what that scene is, but if you know of it, you know of it. And if you're under the age of 18, do not Google it, because it's not the nicest scene in the world. So I want to see what that was compared to this new movie, because a lot of reviewers were saying this is the bedroom scene times 100, or it's the bedroom scene over and over again. I didn't feel that way. I really didn't. Like I said, I watched this movie, but I have to admit I fast forwarded through a lot of it. And a lot of it was not the kills, it was the dialogue, because I really didn't care about the story, because it's like any other horror movie. You want to see the kills, and that's the whole reason I wanted to see it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. It really wasn't that bad. Like, I'd see the bedroom scene in Terrifier 2 does bother me. It is way too over the top and way too gross for me to really enjoy. These ones, however, I kind of enjoyed them in a sick, weird way, like most horror fans do. Brian in chat says Niagara Falls Comic Con guest Chris Jericho is in Terrifier 3. Yes, Chris Jericho now has a thing where he dies in every Terrifier movie. I don't know why. He just does. And it's kind of cool to see Jericho pop up randomly. So again, I heard people were running out of the theater after 10 minutes. And I went, okay, let's at least see the first 10 minutes to understand what is the problem with this movie that is making everybody run out of the movie. Well, Art the Clown, who is the killer in the movie, he unalives a child. And this was kind of what everyone was guessing, because of the controversy that was going to come out of this movie and what the director and the actor were saying. However, it is completely off screen. You don't see it happen. You see what the end result is, but you do not see it in the movie. So when I see the context of people running out 10 minutes in, I think about why, and I think about the context overall. And this is something very important when you read a headline about something like this or something that's so shocking and so controversial that people were running for the hills. You really got to think about what the context is because who is running? Who is running for the hills because of this movie? Well, I'm to guess it's probably people who haven't seen the first two movies. If you've seen the first two movies, I'd hope you know what the next movie is going to be. There's no way they would do something like the bedroom scene in the second one and then all of a sudden take a right and do nothing like that again. Like, that doesn't make sense. So when I sat and watched it, I went, there's no way that the people that ran out of the theater and were upset so much at that opening scene at any part throughout the movie, there was nothing in it that if you hadn't seen the first one, it shouldn't bother you. But I'm not gonna say, but that's just my thought process. Art did seem a lot more funny in this one. He did crack a little. He doesn't speak, but he did do some more miming jokes in this one, which I found a little more funny. He was very, very in your face killing in the second one, but this one he seemed to have a little more humor, which I felt a little better. Um, the ending made my eyes roll. Like, I don't know a ton about the franchise. Again, I've fast forwarded through the other ones as well. It's not my alley, but I at least want to say that I supported it and I can tell you guys about it. Um, the ending kind of confused me and made my eyes roll, but it didn't make sense to me. Terrifier fans may know why the ending happened the way it did and where they're going to go with it. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that wants to see it, but I'm going to spoil it it's going to count to 5 and I'll somewhat spoil it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoiler. It's sort of like Evil Dead 2, where they get sucked into a portal. Or the girl gets sucked into a portal and Art survives. I don't understand that. I don't know what that means. Again, not a hardcore fan, but it kind of just made my eyes like, why are we going on this? So, anyways, point being, after 7 minutes of talking, if you're a fan, go see it. Go watch it, because you're probably going to like this one. Me, I was happy fast forwarding through it. I will probably never watch it again. But if it's your bag, enjoy it. Again, the guys who create it and the cast and everybody else who I've met are amazing people. Enjoy it. Oh, it's a callback to the first one. There you go. Callback to the first one. I don't even remember the first one. So there you go. That makes a little more sense. But yeah, not for me, but if you're a fan, you'll enjoy it. Let's do something non-movie and then we'll do another movie. Let's talk about NFTs in gaming. So if you guys don't understand what NFTs are, NFTs are basically stand for non-fungible tokens. Definition is an NFT or a non-fungible token is a unique digital asset that represents ownership of a specific item, such as artwork, music, or real estate. So what that is you've probably seen them online and people talking about them. There are specific art pieces, digital art pieces that people are collecting and they could cost millions and millions of dollars in Bitcoin and everything, blah, blah, blah. So here's my thing. It's now coming to the world of gaming. And there has been a lot of people complaining about this because what it's basically becoming is that you can get these crazy skins and crazy NFTs that are a rarity. So there'd be like 1 of 100 made, and you're going to pay a certain amount for it, and you're going to be the only one who owns it. And if anybody else tries to steal it, you'll have the original NFT draft, whatever it's called, the contract, and you're the owner of it. Think of like a digital Mona Lisa. That's what a good analogy is. And it's coming to the world of gaming. So there are skins, there are weapon skins, there are assets in the world that are now going to be NFTs. And there are a lot of people complaining about this. I've seen many high-profile Twitch streamers and YouTubers complaining about this because it's just adding more money to a game. So if you want to have these certain things, you're not just paying the base $80, $90. You're now possibly going to be paying hundreds of dollars because these NFTs are going to cost more. Here's the thing, though. This is the way technology is going. And sitting here and arguing about it is not going to change it. And I say that because the people that are complaining about these things are not the demographic that the gaming community is looking at. I will fully admit, I am 36 years old. The gaming industry doesn't give a crap about me, probably. Because I'm not the one who's going there on midnight releases and buying the game and buying the DLC and buying the shirt and buying the hat and buying the Doritos for the codes and all that stuff. These people care about the kids and what I used to be. And kids these days, from what I've seen based on things like Fortnite and etc., it doesn't bother them. And the NFT world and what I've researched is coming, and it's going to be a thing. For example, I'll try to do this properly. Those are all ticket stubs from past concerts that I've gone to. I've gone to many concerts. When you get down to here, it starts to drop off because physical tickets aren't a thing anymore. What is probably going to happen, and you can probably quote me on this is going to become an NFT. You are going to buy a concert ticket. You are going to get a digital NFT of your concert ticket, and that will be worth something in the future because those have value now. There are collectors out there looking to buy old ticket stubs to different concerts. Maybe it was the last show for a musician. Maybe it was the first show of a musician. Maybe they played a rare song on that show. That is one of the ways NFTs are going to be incorporated into the world at a later date. And I think gaming is trying to do it now. Do I think sometimes it's going to fail? 150% it's going to fail at some point. Most of the NFTs that have come out over the past 2, 3, 5 years are worth nothing now. So are every other baseball card that's ever been printed. So is every other shoe that's ever been printed. So is every other t-shirt and hat that's ever been printed. However, there are some that are worth a lot. And that is what it is. The physical currency is not going to be worth anything. It's all going to be digital at some point. So I don't think it's something we can really fight because I don't think the gaming industry gives a crap. They're not focusing on people like me. They're focusing on kids, and they're focusing on what the future is going to be. That is like saying when San Andreas came out, Rockstar coming out and saying, we built Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, but we made it for the people who liked Mario Brothers 3. There's no way that would happen. They care about the people that are buying the game then, who are buying it day one, who are buying every piece of merchandise that the brand builds off of the video game. So I've seen a lot of people complain about it. I get it, but I'm just someone who looks at what the future is going to be, and I don't understand it 100% yet. I've done some research because I am a marketer outside of this world. So I do have a little bit of an understanding of it, but believe me, it is something that is going to happen in the future, and we need to sort of get our minds around it because putting our heads in the sand and saying, we want it back like it used to be, it ain't going that way. It's going to go forward. We have to kind of go with it. So we'll see how it is. Yes, as Rob the Bad Guy said in chat, the whole concept of an NFT was to own the original. And yes, that is the original idea. But that is the way it is going to be in the future, is you're going to have digital assets. The problem that I think a lot of these Twitch streamers have is that these games don't last forever. So you're going to get someone who's going to spend X number of dollars on a gun skin, and it's not going to last forever because the game is just going to die after a while. Unless it's a game like Fortnite that lasts years. But not every game is Fortnite. So that's my little thing about NFTs. Again, I don't know a ton about it, but I've heard a lot of people complain about it. And what I do know is that it's going to happen. We have to kind of get used to it. I'm sorry. It's just the way the world works. All right. I've got someone in the chat right now who is not going to be too happy with this next thing. And that person was on the show a few weeks ago talking about how much they enjoyed this thing. And I took her for a spin. And what I took for a spin was Joker Fully Adieu. Joker Fully Adieu has come out digitally, and I was finally able to see it. And I started it last night at about 8 o'clock. I sat down, I had my chips, I had my tea, I had my wife sitting next to me playing her game, and I started the movie. And about 8:20, I pulled out the remote and turned it off. I am very sorry to say to Crystal in chat, and yes, she is already very upset and crying. I did not like Joker Fully Adieu, and that is to the point that I turned it off after 20 minutes. I supposedly missed the best scene, as she says, and I will probably give it another shot. However, I was so not enjoying it. So, it felt very slow and very artsy. And I know some people love that type of movie. I do not. There was a very long stretch where to be fair, the whole time where I was watching, you just follow Arthur around the penitentiary where he is. And I got so bored. I'm sorry. Anything where I walk around with a person who doesn't do anything and just has the world happen around him, you've already really bored me, because now this person doesn't seem like they care about the world, which means I shouldn't care about the world. Art the Clown would have been better. Art the Clown would have made it really funny, especially because what's his name wants to play Joker. I just don't care about Arthur. I know he's got a story to tell about who he became and what he represents and all that. And yeah, Jack, thank you for pointing that out. I saw a person, and it was kind of freaking obvious that that person meant something, because it's sort of like having everybody out of focus except for one person in the background, and your eyes automatically go to that person and go, huh, he's probably important at some point. I've heard that that person plays a factor. I got to the part where he goes into the music room, the singing room, and meets Harley for the first time. I will fully admit the idea of him getting into Harley's head as another patient in the it's not Arkham, it's whatever, the penitentiary, is not that engaging, because the idea in the comics is he's crazy enough, yet sophisticated enough, yet what's the word I'm looking for? He's so good that he can get into a psychiatrist's head and make that psychiatrist fall in love with him. That's how good he is. But getting into the head of somebody who's just another crazy person, that doesn't take a lot of stretch. He did that in the first movie and got a bunch of people to cause a riot. So yeah, it didn't work for me. And I know there's a lot of people out there who enjoyed the first Joker. I was not a big fan of the first Joker either. But this one, I think I don't know if it was because, I know, here goes Crystal, but this isn't the comics, it's a separate take. I'm aware of that, but it's not an interesting take. And that's my problem. You could be a separate take. And that was my next point. I was going to say, a lot of people complain about the Marvel movies and how they're so paint by numbers. But it's a paint by numbers I enjoy. And that's the difference, is that it can be a separate take, 100%, but if that separate take is not something I'm interested in, it can be separate all at once. It's just not something I'm enjoying. So I will give it another shot at another date, but it was so tough to get to that point. And there were multiple times I was leaning towards the remote, but I'm like, no, I want to give it a shot because I want to be honest on here. And I hate cutting out movies early, but it was just not for me. So unfortunately, I did not finish Joker Fully Adieu. However, after I was finished that, I thought I need to watch something. I decided to put on Agatha. And I watched the first 2 episodes of Agatha, and it was pretty fun. And I know Crystal's probably thumping her head against the wall because Crystal's like, I can't stand that show. I really enjoyed the first 2 episodes, and I know the spoiler, I know the ending, um, and that's honestly the ending spoiling it for me actually has made me want to watch it because, and I don't want to spoil in the chat because someone posted it today on a group chat of mine, and it kind of got under my nerves because I know what the ending is, but I don't want people bringing it up until I get to it. Um, it was fun. It was very fun. I'm not a big witch person. I'm not into all that stuff, as you've probably seen by my one of my top tens where the movies I didn't like that everyone loves, Hocus Pocus and all that was on that list. But I'm really enjoying this. I like the first 2 episodes. I'm probably gonna watch the third episode after I'm done this show. Actually, I can't. I have to wait for my wife to get home because my wife was actually enjoying the show too. She was actually laying back after I turned off Joker, and I knew she would turn over because she liked the Agatha character in WandaVision. And she just looks over, and I just glance, and I see she's watching it, and I'm like, yep, I'm going to be sitting here watching at least a couple episodes. We finished the second episode, and she's someone who will binge a whole season, and I'm not. After 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I stopped the second episode. I'm like, I'm done after 2. If you want to watch this without me here, I'm perfectly fine with it. But I'm done after 2. And she laughed. She goes, no, I get it. I get it. So yeah, I will definitely be finishing that. I'll give you my thoughts on that. There could be, Brian in the chat says, there could be a chance at an Emmy next year for both Penguin and Agatha could be nominated for Best Drama and Best Comedy. I wouldn't be surprised because when I was sitting there, I was holding my remote and I have both Penguin and Agatha. And I'm sitting there going, which one? Which one? And I knew because Agatha was spoiled, I knew I'd be happy with that. Although I've heard nothing but praise for Penguin too. So after I'm done the Agatha, I'll probably jump over and watch Penguin. Crystal said I'm part of the LGBTQ community. It was boring. I still have to finish the last episode still. And I get that. I got that too. There was a lot of that at that first episode where you could feel that atmosphere in the air while I was watching it. I was like, okay, I can see how this could get under some people's skins. I agree. But I enjoyed it, the first 2 episodes. I can't wait to watch the rest of them. I think that's kind of it for the news right now. Thank you all so far for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as you normally do. It means a lot to me. It shows that you guys like this stuff, and it means I should do more of it. And I appreciate that you're spending your nights with me. Now, before we jump into the main event, obviously, we have to talk about our sponsor. As always, our sponsor every single week here on the podcast is my lovely, amazing, beautiful, incredible wife. She is my sponsor, and I would not be doing this if it wasn't for her. I would not be in the position to do this podcast mentally, physically, etc. if it wasn't for her. I am a changed person because of her, and I say it every single week, and you're probably going, Mike, shut up. I'm not doing it for brownie points. Seriously, if you knew me before this and you know me now, I'm a completely different person and a lot better person because of her. So, hun, you'll always be our sponsor. Let's jump into the main event. Let's talk about some Comic-Cons, guys. We were supposed to talk about this last week, but unfortunately, I was feeling under the weather, so we're going to talk about it today. And because my throat is getting dry, because we had 2 weeks, we have 2 cons to talk about. And what are those cons? Well, Brian in chat says, speaking of conventions, Warwick Davis was announced for Niagara Falls Comic Con. Yes, Warwick Davis will be at Niagara Falls 2025. And guess who else will be there? This guy. I will obviously be at Niagara Falls. I'm there every year volunteering. But yeah, Warwick Davis is a pretty big one. I'm not a big Warwick Davis fan. I'm not a big fan. Nothing against him. It's just not something I really watch. But I know he's got a big following, so I think that'll bring a lot of people. Speaking of Niagara Falls, Frightmare in the Falls was a couple weeks ago. Frightmare in the Falls, if you don't know, is a horror convention in Niagara Falls, Ontario, every single year in the October season just before Halloween. It's at the Scotiabank Centre, the same place as Niagara Falls Comic Con. This, however, is not a full building. This was a half building. They still do this in half a building because that's all the space they need. If they get too big of a con or too big of a space, it just feels empty. They crush it together and it actually feels very fun. And it's always a good con because it's all horror based. And I'm a horror fan. I've been since, well, birth, because that's my name. But yeah, it was a great night, or it was a great night for me. It runs Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was just there on the Saturday. I'm up to about 12 cons in a year now, almost 13. I am I'm hitting my limit of doing full weekends at cons right now. I need some time off, and as of yesterday, I am done. I'm pretty much done. I have one small thing in a couple weeks, but that's it for the year. Thank you. I love you all. I love going to cons, but I'm done for the year. Um, so I got there on the Friday night. I was staying overnight with a friend, and I thought, well, I'm going to come in Friday night. I'll stay the night, and then I don't have to get up at BS o'clock in the morning and drive to Niagara Falls and be exhausted. So crashed on Friday night. And I got there early because I wanted to make sure that I didn't run into weekend traffic to the falls. So I ended up leaving a little early and got to the con before the con had ended, which allowed me to get some time and actually casually walk around the con and not have to be running around doing volunteer work. So I really did enjoy that. It might be something I do in the future too. So we got together and I went to the con, and it was pretty much like a standard con. If you're a horror fan, it had its vendors area, it had their celebrities area, and it everyone seemed to be having a good time, even on the Friday. There were some very fun vendors this year that I think deserve a little bit of a shout out. Unfortunately, I do not remember their names, but it's people you should look out for because they do great work. There's an individual who I believe is at Fan Expo 2, sometimes goes to Niagara, but definitely was at Frightmare. And it's an individual who paints with wine and coffee. And they do incredible portraits of different horror icons, different celebrities, different things, and they do a great job. A friend of mine, Meg, picks up a couple things every time because they just do an amazing job. There were 2 tattoo artists at the con. A couple of my con family friends got some tattoos while they were there, and there were many photo opportunities there, which I think is a really big thing for a lot of fans, because when you go to a con like this and you spend the money, you can either go spend more money in an autograph session, or you can spend more money and get something with a vendor, or you can go to Q&A, or you can walk around and get your photo taken with some pretty cool displays. So they had a Thanksgiving display based off the movie Thanksgiving by Eli Roth, who we'll talk more about in a bit. We had a Jason Kill cabin set up that you get your photo with. There was a Michael Myers house. There was a couple of the cars there. The one from Supernatural was there. A lot of cool things there that you got stuff to do. And one of the things that saved our butts, and I was going to talk about this later, but I'll throw it in now. The folks at Deadly Ground, now known as Coffin Creek Coffee, had a setup there where you can buy some horror-themed coffee roasts, but they also can brew you a cup right there at the convention, which I saw so many people walking around with cups of their coffee, and I think it's a great thing to have at a convention. I can't drink coffee after bright and early in the morning. I usually have 1 cup, and that's it. It just doesn't sit well with my stomach later on. So if we could do a booth with Monster or Zoa for me and have coffee for everyone else, I'm happy. Sounds like a great day to me. But those are some cool vendors that they had there. You should definitely check them out, or at least make sure to check them out next time. So Friday was just kind of hanging out. Really didn't do a lot. Had some fun. We went out to dinner that night. We had a blast at dinner with a lot of laughs, as always. Went to bed, woke up Saturday morning, 8:30, bright and early as always, thankfully. We were right across from the con, so it wasn't like we had to walk far. We planned our meeting out front. If you've ever been a volunteer at a convention, or if you haven't, usually we all get together at the front of the convention, just sort of talk about what happened the day before, what's going to happen today, where everybody is, where the stress points are, and all of the stuff that you guys need to know as a volunteer, and so we can make sure you guys as attendees have the best con experience you can. So we go in there, and I'll be honest, it was kind of slow for a Saturday, which kind of shocked me because I know a lot of people were very interested in coming to see a lot of the guests. I know, unfortunately, people like Tony Todd had to cancel. They had a Jaws reunion that a lot of them had to cancel because of different reasons. I know that impacted ticket sales a bit and attendance. But I was really surprised how slow the weekend, that Saturday specifically, was. However, everyone that was there seemed to be having a great time, which is great because that means hopefully those people will tell their friends, who will tell their friends, will tell their friends that next year they should come to the con. Um, the two big lines that were doing very well was Shawnee Smith from Saw. You probably know her from the Saw franchise. In the first movie, the second movie, third movie, I think she's in the fourth movie. Anyways, she's the main female in the series. And also, Mr. Eli Roth was there, director of Glorious Bastards, Thanksgiving, Borderlands, which I had to keep my mouth shut about. It was so tough to be sitting in front of the director and being like, I can't talk about Borderlands because I didn't enjoy it. But whatever, I kept my mouth shut. But yeah, that was those were probably the two biggest lines of the weekend. While I was working, usually I'm working with one specific celebrity. Usually I'm stuck on a line, helping whatever line is the busiest because it was slow and my role has changed. I was able to kind of flow through and mingle and help out wherever I was needed, so I wasn't stuck with anyone specifically. Edith in chat says, I love making the best of those slow days. We get a good opportunity to speak with our guests. Yes, we do, and I know you had a lot of fun with a certain celebrity, which we'll talk about in a second. So we had, I was able to meet Jeff Brockton, who was the stunt coordinator and Ghostface from the Scream 3 movie. He was a blast, very personable, very great to talk to. I was able to meet Larry Zerner, who was Shelley in Friday the 13th Part 3. I was able to meet many of the Friday the 13th Part 3 guests, which was great. I was able to meet Scout Taylor Compton, finally, who plays Laurie Strode in the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. As a Halloween fan, it was really cool to meet her. And of course, when I walked up and met her, the people who were around her said, "That's Michael Myers," which I always get a kick out of because when you're a cast of the movie, I kind of get that little bit extra interaction. I ran into Danielle Harris again, who plays Jamie Lloyd in Halloween 4 and 5. And then we met Louis Santer, who I was just talking about for Edith. He was Tigger in the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 movie. Super sweet guy. Super, super sweet guy. I hope they bring him back again because I know he seemed like he was having a blast talking to everybody and having a lot of fun. And lastly, I met Eli Roth, the director of Hostel, Thanksgiving, Borderlands, and I was able to do that because I was able to jump into a photo op with the cast. Almost the entire cast of Thanksgiving movie was there with Eli Roth, and we were able to get a quick photo shoot in the Thanksgiving table in the kitchen, and it was really cool because they all seemed to be having a lot of fun, which is one of the most important things. We want you guys to have a blast. We also want the celebrities to have a blast because if the celebrities have a blast, they'll come back and you guys will get to meet them again. And that's some of the best things. So everybody's looking like they're having a blast. It honestly felt like the vendors were busier than the celebrities, it happens, but it's rare. Usually the celebrities are continuously busy, but it seemed when I walked out the vendor floor, they were doing a lot of business. And like I said, everybody was walking around with a bunch of stuff. There were people walking around with Coffin Creek coffee, which was great. Was able to jump into the Eli Roth photo shoot, and I also got to say hi. Forgot to mention to Mr. C.J. Graham, who plays Jason in Part 5, I believe. If I remember correctly, 6, 5. I get confused after a while. Overall, it was kind of an uneventful con, which is good. Honestly, it's really good when it's an uneventful con. I know it doesn't do a lot for this because you guys want to hear gossip and all that, but honestly, if it flows smoothly, it needs to be an uneventful con, and that makes things good. Overall, it seemed like all the celebrities were having fun. It seemed like all the guests were having fun. It's a great con. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. If you're a horror fan, you should be going to this con because really there's a ton of cool stuff at the con. I picked up a Icon's autograph box. I unfortunately don't have it out here, but in the box had a Jason mask. I had some autographs. One of them was a script cover for Hellboy that had Ron Perlman's autograph on it, which is so cool. But yeah, the only downfall that I heard from anybody was that the prices to get in were a little more expensive than they wanted to spend. And I understand that. I think the Sunday was $50, which is pretty high for a convention. But when you're getting certain celebrities, and I understand the price increase happens, hopefully that is addressed next year, because I did hear that, I want to say 3 times over a full day that the price of tickets was getting a little high. So I don't know how much they can do about that, but it is something that hopefully they can address. Just quickly check my notes. Yeah, that was the big thing. Also, that it's just because it's the last con of the year. A lot of people are tapped out when it comes to funds, because there's been things like Niagara, London, Fan Expo, and all those things. And Crystal Chat says the cost of the photo op and the autograph as well. Yeah, it's becoming pricey. It's really becoming pricey. A little tiny sneak behind the curtain. As a volunteer, we don't get free autographs. If that is something you want when you come to a convention, if you think you can go up to a celebrity table and just get a free autograph, it doesn't happen that way. The rule of thumb is you go up with the money, preparing to pay. And if the celebrity says, "Oh no, you've worked, don't worry," that's a bonus. But you have to go up prepared to pay. It's hard to do that now because of how much the celebrities are costing. So I understand that as a fan, you go up there and you hope that you get a celebrity that is willing to sit, willing to chat, willing to give you the time of day. But there are some that are just either busy or having an off day or whatever, that it's not a great experience. So I understand why some people may be hesitant to do that. And Crystal said again, we didn't want to pay for a ticket for one person, and I totally get that. That means you're paying, the admission price plus you're paying for the autograph. I get it. So Niagara Falls, Frightmare in the books, in the past, where we're getting ready for 2025. Let's jump into the next one, which was this past weekend, which I've been talking about a bunch on here, and that is Heartcon. You're probably wondering, I've never heard of Heartcon. And that's because it's a new con. It's a brand new convention that you, as a cosplayer and a photographer, get to enjoy. This is all about cosplayers and photographers, and I'm so happy because I have had conversation after conversation with other cosplayers saying, we love conventions, we love Fan Expo, we love Niagara, we love all these conventions, but is there a way to do a con that's just for cosplayers, that is specific? I'm not saying we don't want anyone else there, but have it focused on cosplayers, have it focused on photographers, and that mashup. And it was the first year they did it, and I gotta admit, not too bad. So it was in the upper side of Toronto, and they rented a building. It was 2 floors. There were photographers downstairs, and a couple vendors were upstairs, and there was also a couple photographers upstairs too. But most of the photography and the party type atmosphere was downstairs. And I know a lot of people, I should say a lot of people, a couple people were messaging me beforehand saying they were worried about the parking situation because it was pretty much street parking, except if you wanted to go a little further and go into a lot. I can tell you, I heard nobody complaining about parking when they got there. Everyone said there were spots everywhere that they could hang out. I went a little further away to a parking garage because I wanted to take some video, and I did. And if you've got me on Instagram or on TikTok, you saw what I took video of. I took video of my Ghost Rider cosplay because I love wearing it, and I wore it to Heartcon. It was great having that time to just mingle with cosplayers. I think it was mentioned on their live stream that I was a part of a couple weeks ago. We go to these conventions all the time, but it's a lot of running past each other. We've got photo shoots, we've all got meetups, we've all got meeting celebrities, we've got things we got to buy. We're always missing each other. And I think there was at least 3 or 4 cosplayers that I ran into during Heartcon that I was like, I've been able to run into you and talk to you in a few years because we're just always missing each other. It was great running into Saphira Cosplay. It was great running into Onyx Lives. It was great running into the Geeks & Co. folks, as always, and many others that were there. It was really cool to finally sit down and talk with Saphira Cosplay. I've been a fan of hers for so many years because I met her doing the masquerade or the cosplay contest at Fan Expo, and her work is amazing. She's great on doing TikTok lives as well. So it was good to finally sit down and have a conversation with her instead of just, oh my God, we're excited for the masquerade. Oh my God, we're excited for the masquerade. So it was good to talk to them. I know everyone else who's running around just crazy. The con was brought to you by specifically Black Cat Sigma on Instagram. She's a great cosplayer. She deserves a round of applause. I know she didn't do it by herself. I know she did have some help, but to do a con like that isn't corporately run or to have a ton of people behind the scenes, she did a lot of it from what I understand, and she deserves a round of applause for everything that worked out well. And as with most cons, there were problems, and that's fine. There are always going to be problems. It's never going to be perfect. But for everything that went well, it went really well. Everybody was having a blast. The downstairs, it was such a party atmosphere. I'm not a big partier, so I felt a little like wallflower, like that shy cosplayer. I can do this. I can work a room. I can work 50, 60 people. But one-on-ones, two-on-one, I'm just like, oh, this is weird. I feel awkward. And if there was any other things that I'm not thinking of, they went completely undetected. So it's like everybody had a fun time. I got to do a photo shoot with a new photographer, my ghostwriter. I believe his name is Paul Wish on Instagram. He's a nature photographer. He showed me the previews of the shots he did. They look so good. I can't wait to see what the final product looks like. He did a great job. I'm definitely going to keep him in my little black book of photographers because I can't wait to try and work with him again. I got to have a great conversation with Bree, Joe's Clues on Instagram. She is trying to get into the cosplay world. She started already. She's already a cosplayer. I shouldn't say she's trying. She is a cosplayer. She has a cosplay. So it was good to finally sit down and talk to her because I know she's been wanting to talk about different things about how to get into cosplay, how to get the confidence to cosplay, and I hope what I was able to do and able to talk to her about got her really inspired and wanting to do more of this because it's such a fun hobby. It really is, and I hope she gets to do more of it. Yeah, I think the biggest problem about the con has nothing to do about the con. It is me. It really is me, and that was the party atmosphere. I am not a party guy. I really am not, and I feel shy as hell at those things. And I know you're looking at me going, "Dude, you're live on YouTube right now doing a podcast." That's different. I am really shy when it comes to stuff like that, and running into cosplayers and wanting to say hi and wanting to talk about stuff. I feel so awkward doing it. Even in a Ghost Rider costume, I feel awkward. There were definitely some really cool cosplayers there that I wish I walked up and said hi to. And I know I've preached it before of I need to talk to more people and you need to talk to more people. And I know I should listen to my own advice, but it still felt awkward to me doing it. So anybody who saw a Ghost Rider who was awkwardly staring at them, I apologize. It feels so foreign to me. But I will definitely try my best. Crystal said in chat, just wish it wasn't at night. Yeah, I know Crystal and a couple others were saying they wish it was more of an afternoon con. It's something they should definitely look into. Some of the things that I would try maybe next year to see if we could do it. Adding QR codes to the photographers would be a great one. I know when I went downstairs and was going to book my photo shoot, I couldn't really tell who was a good photographer and who was an okay photographer. Obviously, they're all great photographers, but like certain ones have certain looks and certain other things. So it was kind of hard to see which one was which. I wish they had maybe a couple photos for each laying out that I could see what their style is. Or like I said, a QR code that I could quickly scan with my phone to see what their Instagram looks like. I wish there was a little more space just to relax. I know there was some space downstairs. I had some couches that a lot of people were sitting at, but I wish there was a little more. I had heard rumors that there was supposed to be a third floor available. That was going to be more of a place to get away for anybody that has either sensory problems and it's too much for them, or they just want to get out and take a breather. That was supposed to be available, but from what I heard, there was a problem with the building or whatever. I don't know the details. So that wasn't available. So if that could happen next year, I think that would be a nice perk. The night thing, I totally understand. I know it would be great if we could do something a little earlier. The night did bring out a little bit of atmosphere. I know, so I saw some photographers head to the door with some clients to get some outdoor shots and some dark shots because there's an alley nearby. So I assume that's where they were going. I know I shot a little bit of video with one of the videographers outside in the dark, which was nice, especially with the flames of Ryder. But I understand that some people who have kids and other things, it's just too much for them. The only other thing I could say is there was a few too many badge types. I know they had cosplay badges, they had photographer badges, they had staff badges, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I know that they're needed for different things, but it was just hard in, especially a darker atmosphere, to see what the person was and how they could help me and what their name was. Especially a bunch of the photographers I saw had them all flipped, and I know that wasn't intentional, but just seeing the back white of the pass really was kind of like, who are you, and are you an official photographer? Are you unofficial? So just a couple small things, but I mean, overall, those are nitpicky as hell. And overall, it was a great convention, and I hope that I'm brought back next year, because seriously, it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I got to hang out with Bree, and Alex in chat was there with Bree. We got to have a great conversation about cosplay and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you're a cosplayer, definitely check it out. Definitely check them out on Instagram. Check out Black Hat Sigma and everyone else. Yeah, a lot of fun. Can't wait till next year. Can't wait to see what improvements come. I know they are more than happy to find out or to get some feedback on what everyone thought if you were in attendance there. That's kind of it, folks. That's kind of it. It's been 47 minutes, and we are just about at the end of the show. If you're still here and you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all those things. I want to give a quick announcement of what the next couple shows are going to be. I hope the stream has been good tonight. I've got a little indicator that you can't see right here that shows how good I am on the server that I'm using. And so far, it hasn't budged past full. So hopefully everything's a little better tonight. I'll check back later to see how it looks. Next week, we're going to do something that we did many, many moons ago when I first started this podcast. And we're going to do a new version of it. And that is, we're doing 90s month, or I guess it's 90s weeks, because usually I try to do a full month, but this one got moved. So 90s weeks are coming up, folks. Next week on the podcast, we're going to do 90s video game movies. We're going to talk all about 90s video game movies, specifically the Super Mario Brothers movie from 93, the Double Dragon movie from 94, the Street Fighter movie from 94, the Mortal Kombat movie from 95, and Mortal Kombat Annihilation from 97. The week after that, on November 18th, we're going to talk about 90s comic book movies. The MCU, the DCU, and comic book movies are running wild in the entertainment world, but in a couple weeks, we're going to talk about comic book movies from the 90s, not the MCU that you know. We're going to talk about Barbed Wire. For all you guys out there, Barbed Wire. The original Captain America, not the first Avenger, Captain America from the 90s. We're going to talk about Darkman. You probably have seen the poster. You've probably seen clips of it. We're going to talk about Darkman. We're going to talk about the original Judge Dredd movie with Sylvester Stallone. We're going to talk about Michael Jai White and the Spawn movie, the first Spawn movie. We've been getting teases about a new one. We're going to talk about the original. We're going to talk about Steel. Do you guys remember there was a Steel movie, like the Superman Steel, starring Shaquille O'Neal? Let that sink in, folks. We're going to talk about the TMNT movie, which we always talk about on this podcast. I'll tell you right now, it's amazing. And last, we're going to talk about The Crow, because I'm a giant Crow fan. And then the last week of the month, we're going to do, you know what, Alex, I would love to do Dolph Punisher. However, that is another movie that I didn't finish. I have it. I actually have it on DVD downstairs. I have not finished it, though, so I can't give it that. Fantastic Four was never released. So I don't want to talk about that because it's not an official release. One day we will talk about it. And the last week, as I said, in November, we're going to do the 90s Batman movies. And yes, we're going to give a pass to 1989 Batman. We're going to put the first one in, and then we're going to do Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin with Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're going to talk all about Batman and Robin because you know what, folks? Spoiler, I love that movie. It's such a good movie. I don't care what anyone says. So if you want to tune in later, we've got video game movies, comic book movies, Batman movies, all of the 90s. We're going to have so much fun in the next couple weeks. I hope you all had a great night tonight. I will be back next week, and I'm probably going to be streaming in the next few days because, folks, if you're looking behind going, Mike, you're supposed to be professional. You're supposed to have, I'm going to do this terribly. This is all chaos up here. That's because I am moving some things around. I got a new piece of wood here to make a bigger table for myself. I'm going to be doing a bunch of live streaming and cosplay stuff in the next little while. So get ready for that live on Instagram and a whole lot more. Folks, have yourselves a great night. I love you all. I will see you very soon. Take care. We'll see you soon. Stay nerdy and stay safe, folks. Love you all. See ya.
Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.